All right, explorers and conquistadors. This is a review as well. Hopefully, you have been here and able to catch all of this. So, a couple of people we're going to focus on. First thing is the Treaty of Tordesillas, which is right here. Then we're going to talk about Cortes briefly, and then Atahualpa and Pizarro, and then move into why are the European countries coming over here? What are their main reasons? So, the Treaty of Tordesillas is incredibly important because this is a treaty that will explain why our world is often divided by different languages. So the Treaty of Tordesillas was created in 1493 by the Pope, the Catholic Pope. Spain and Portugal are arguing over who has claims to this land. They are both Catholic countries. The Pope does not want his Catholic countries to argue or fight over land. He likes to keep as many Catholic citizens alive as possible. And so he decides to step in. When he intervenes, he comes up with this fantastic idea. The idea is that if you're following this line right here, this line of longitude, we know because longitude is long and latitude is fatitude, it goes around. So longitude, he says, you know what, this newly discovered land that Christopher Columbus just happened to land on, what we're going to do is we're going to make both sides happy. So Portugal, you will get everything east of the line. And when I say east, I just mean actually any of the new land. So it doesn't mean that Portugal gets Europe or Africa or anything like that. It means that Portugal is going to get this little chunk of Brazil. And then Spain, since you're the one that sent the voyage, you're going to get what's in the west. But we don't know what's in the west. If you're looking at that, that seems a little bit unfair. However, keep in mind that this is also during a time period where many people thought California was still an island. So the map making of this time and charting of North, Central, and South America is not incredibly accurate. Eventually, the Pope realizes, okay, North, Central, and South America are much larger, so it decides to scooch the line a little bit over here. So this is the new line, which will explain today why Portuguese is the dominant language in Brazil, and why the rest of South America and Central America, why they speak Spanish. So this is exactly what I was telling you about. Here's the Pope in his lovely little Pope hat. He wants to keep everybody happy. Like it says, divide the land between Spain getting west of the line of longitude, Portugal gets to the east. Only thing I want to note about Amerigo Vespucci right here is he is a map maker. Nobody has bothered to name the new land, and so he gets his name on the maps because he is creating the map. So Amerigo, America, Italian, map maker. He was in the right place at the right time. Hernando Cortes is the conquistador that will kind of start this trend of, well, a small trend, I guess, of attacking these larger Native American empires and doing it successfully. The biggest thing that he had going in his favor was the fact that the Aztecs were already a little bit weakened by the smallpox, meaning he was able to knock out quite a few people. But the Aztec population in Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire alone, some estimate were at times 100,000 people. That's larger than any city of Europe at the time. So even though many people are dying from smallpox, it's not going to be as huge of a factor. What ends up happening is that Cortes will come in on his horses, and people will view him as a god because apparently Montezuma had a dream where a fair-haired god would be coming in, and this is what Cortes looked a bit like, and so everybody thought he was this god returning as determined by Montezuma's dream. And so he is welcome, he is treated kindly, and as the conquistadors typically do, they treat the kindness by capturing Montezuma. So you might have heard of Montezuma's Revenge. That's where that name comes from. Cortes kidnaps Montezuma. He is used for basically ransom. He's making the Aztecs bring in gold and silver in order to keep their ruler alive. And eventually the Aztecs are a little bit over it. They're disgruntled. There's only so much they can give. And so they actually take it on themselves to kill Montezuma, thus ending their problem of how much do we have to keep working for the Spanish? How long do we have to do this? Why was he successful? It says right here, smallpox, the flu, and the dream really helped Cortes get his foot in the Aztec door. And eventually the Aztec Empire will be devastated from this. Francisco Pizarro, fun story here. He's going to be the guy to conquer the Incas. He's going to ride in on horseback again. This is a creature. It's part of the Columbian Exchange, as we talked about earlier. And so this is something that's relatively unheard of or unseen. So they're viewed as gods as well. So Pizarro comes into the Incan Empire. He's on his quest for gold and wealth and all the good things that would bring, and fame. He is greatly outnumbered. Some estimate that the leader, Atahualpa, of the Incan Empire, is surrounded by 80,000 soldiers. And once again, Pizarro has an estimate of around 180, some say 160, 168. Regardless, not even close to 80,000 soldiers, not even close to 1,000 soldiers. And so he's drastically outnumbered. Great story is that Atahualpa, wanting to show that he was not afraid of these supposed gods. In fact, Atahualpa did not believe they were gods, but he had to prove to his people. So he has his soldiers march towards Pizarro unarmed, and they are from that point meeting the Spanish in a courtyard. And Atahualpa really expects the Spanish to turn around and run, thus showing that he was more powerful than these supposed gods. So thousands of men are marching with him. They are playing music. I think it's just going to have a big celebration once the Spanish turn around and leave. Unfortunately, he's going to be incredibly wrong with this strategy. This will be the end of him. Mistakenly, as typically happens, a Spanish priest of Pizarro's first came out and met with Atahualpa, telling him about the Bible and everything. And he actually hands a Bible to Atahualpa, who, not knowing what a book was, not really caring about it, threw it on the ground. And that was enough to send the Spanish into just into a spiral of death and destruction. They started raining down attack upon the Incan people. And as they are unarmed, they are able to just slice through. It is a complete bloodbath. And apparently none of the Spanish are killed. And many of the Incans turn and run. They were not united. If they had stayed united, even unarmed, they would have been able to defeat Pizarro. At least that's what many people think. But because they panicked, because they ran, because Atahualpa wanted to show that he was strong and didn't need weapons, this all leads to Atahualpa being kidnapped, just like Montezuma was kidnapped by Cortes. So Pizarro really took a page from Cortes's playbook there, right? Just a quick picture of Pizarro and Atahualpa, capturing Atahualpa. In the end, what Pizarro does is he holds Atahualpa prisoner. He allows him to continue his court as long as they have Spanish rule. And he has ransom brought in order to keep Atahualpa alive. Eventually, when they have tons, and I'm not joking, tons of gold and silver, they decide Atahualpa can be disposed of, and they actually kill him. And apparently, the story goes, he was killed where all of his soldiers were slaughtered in the first massacre. And then we're going to move into Spanish colonization, but I'm going to end it here in order to keep this brief.